Most gardeners think they have a fertilizer problem when they actually have a dead soil problem. They keep adding compost, fish emulsion, expensive organic blends, even synthetic feeds. But the worms disappear, the soil turns compacted, and plants stall out halfway through the season. And the crazy part is one of the fastest ways I've found to wake soil back up again costs almost nothing and usually gets thrown away in kitchens every single week. Crushed rice. Not cooked rice dumped on the surface, not thick layers that turn moldy. I'm talking about dry crushed rice used in a very specific way that massively increases microbial activity and pulls earthworms into your beds fast. In some of my raised beds, worm activity nearly doubled within 3 weeks after using this method correctly. And there's a reason most gardeners never see results with it. They use way too much, or they apply it at the wrong moisture level. And before I forget, one thing that made this technique way more consistent for me was actually monitoring what was happening in the soil instead of guessing. I started using the YAMRON 4-in-1 soil moisture meter because crushed rice behaves completely differently depending on moisture, pH, and soil temperature. Most people accidentally create sour soil without realizing it. This tool helped me catch that early before it damaged seedlings. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. You'd be surprised how often soil problems are really just moisture mistakes. Now here's where this gets interesting. Crushed rice works because it feeds the biology before it feeds the plant. That's the part most gardening advice completely skips over. Healthy soil isn't just dirt holding nutrients. It's a living digestive system. Worms, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, all of them are processing organic matter constantly. And when you give them the right carbon source in the right particle size, the entire system speeds up. Rice happens to break down in a very specific way that worms love, especially when it's crushed. Whole grains take longer to soften and become biologically active. But lightly crushed dry rice absorbs moisture gradually and creates thousands of tiny microbial feeding points throughout the soil. That microbial bloom attracts worms aggressively. In my own beds, I started noticing fresh worm castings on the surface within days after rain. But there's a catch. Most YouTube videos won't tell you. If you dump raw rice directly onto wet soil in thick layers, you can create anaerobic pockets that smell sour and actually reduce oxygen around root zones. I learned that the hard way in a tomato bed years ago. The plants turned pale, lower leaves yellowed, and the soil developed that fermented smell. The issue wasn't the rice itself, it was the moisture balance. That's why this technique works best when the rice is crushed and used sparingly. What I do now is take about 1 cup of dry rice for every 20 square feet of bed space and pulse it briefly in a cheap blender or grain grinder. You don't want powder. You want coarse fragments. Think cracked grain texture. Then I mix it with about 2 handfuls of finished compost before applying it. That detail matters more than people realize. The compost inoculates the rice immediately with beneficial microbes. Without that step, the rice can temporarily tie up nitrogen while decomposing. With compost mixed in, decomposition becomes balanced and controlled. Then I lightly rake it into the top inch of soil, not deeper. That's another mistake gardeners make constantly. Worm activity happens heavily in that upper biological layer where oxygen and organic matter interact. Burying amendments too deep slows everything down. The top layer is where the real engine of the soil operates. And if you stay until the end, I'll explain the one crop that responded so aggressively to this method that I honestly thought I had over-fertilized it at first. Now, something else starts happening after about the 2nd or 3rd application. The soil texture changes. This is where experienced gardeners notice the difference immediately. Clay soil starts breaking apart easier. Raised beds stop crusting after watering. Even container mixes hold moisture more evenly without becoming soggy. That's because worm tunnels increase oxygen movement and water infiltration naturally. You know, people really do underestimate how much worm populations affect root growth. In one side-by-side test I ran in 2 identical pepper beds, the bed treated with crushed rice and compost had visibly darker soil and, honestly, significantly less compaction by mid-season. The untreated side dried faster and developed surface cracking during hot weather. And, no, you do not need huge amounts. Actually, smaller repeated applications work far better than one heavy feeding. I usually apply crushed rice every 3 to 4 weeks during active growing seasons. During cooler months, I reduce it because microbial activity slows down naturally. Now let's talk about hydroponics for a second, because people always ask if this works there too. Directly adding crushed rice to hydro systems is a terrible idea. It'll rot, clog systems, destabilize reservoirs, and create microbial chaos. But there's a workaround most growers overlook. You can use this technique to supercharge the biology in the compost or worm castings you later use for compost teas and inoculants. That's where hydro growers can still benefit indirectly. And honestly, this connects to a bigger issue in gardening right now. Too many growers are obsessed with feeding plants, while ignoring the ecosystem feeding the plants. That's why soils collapse after a few seasons, even when fertilizers are constantly added. The biology never recovers. The worms disappear. Organic matter stops cycling properly. Then gardeners start chasing deficiencies endlessly. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is feed the underground workers first. Now here's something most people never notice until they try this themselves. Certain worms respond faster than others. In my experience, red wigglers and smaller composting worms swarm these treated zones incredibly fast, especially under mulch. Larger night crawlers usually move in later, once moisture stabilizes. That's one reason mulch becomes so important with this method. Bare soil dries too quickly. After applying crushed rice, I almost always add a thin mulch layer, shredded leaves, straw, or dry grass clippings. Not thick enough to smother the soil, just enough to maintain surface humidity. That stable moisture layer becomes a feeding zone, and this is exactly why so many gardeners accidentally fail with worm-based soil building. They disturb the soil too often. Every time you aggressively till or constantly dig through beds, you destroy fungal pathways and worm channels that took weeks to establish. After switching to lighter surface amendments like this, I noticed my beds becoming more stable year after year instead of resetting every season. Now about that crop I mentioned earlier, potatoes. The response was ridiculous. The first year I tested crushed rice consistently in a potato bed, the plants developed thicker stems, darker foliage, and far better moisture retention during heat waves. But the biggest difference came during harvest. The soil structure was loose enough that I could literally pull potatoes out by hand with minimal digging. That's when it really clicked for me. Worm-rich soil changes everything underground. Root expansion improves, water movement improves, nutrient cycling improves, even disease pressure often drops because healthier biology creates more resilient soil conditions. But I need to correct another bad gardening myth here. More worms does not automatically mean healthy soil. I've seen overloaded compost piles packed with worms but terrible nutrient balance. Worms are indicators, not magic. The goal is balanced biology, proper oxygen, stable moisture, and organic matter cycling together. Crushed rice is simply a trigger that accelerates part of that system. And if your soil already stays soggy or compacted, fix drainage first before trying this. Otherwise you're feeding anaerobic conditions instead of healthy biology. That's another reason I started monitoring soil conditions more seriously instead of gardening by instinct alone. Sometimes the soil feels dry on top while remaining waterlogged underneath. A simple moisture reading changes how you water completely. Again, that's where the YAMRON 4-in-1 soil moisture meter became surprisingly useful in my garden because it stopped me from overwatering beds that already had enough moisture deeper down. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. One final thing that makes this method work even better: timing. Apply crushed rice before rainfall whenever possible. Natural rainwater distributes moisture more evenly through the soil profile than overhead watering usually does. The microbial response is noticeably stronger after rain applications compared to dry conditions. And if you really want to push this further, combine the method with partially decomposed leaf mold. That combination creates one of the fastest worm-attracting environments I've personally tested in backyard beds. At the end of the day, great gardening is less about miracle products and more about understanding how living soil actually functions. Once you learn how worms, microbes, moisture, oxygen, and organic matter interact together, you stop fighting your garden and start building systems that improve every season instead of degrading. That's the difference between feeding plants temporarily and building soil that keeps feeding plants for years. If you found this useful, subscribe to Farmogic, because these are the kinds of techniques most gardening channels either oversimplify or completely ignore. And share this with another gardener who keeps struggling with compacted soil, weak growth, or lifeless beds. Sometimes the biggest garden improvements come from the smallest overlooked details.